Welcome to your Weather Impact Extended Weekend Forecast, exclusively on 13 WMAZ+. I'm meteorologist Alex Pry. Each week, we're taking an in-depth look at your forecast ahead, along with giving you an inside look of what we're up to on the weather team. Let's jump right into it. Kicking off with Future View, we are going to go ahead and take a look at what's in store for the rest of your weekend. Taking it all the way to 6 p.m. later on this afternoon into Friday, we are going to I'm going to restart that. Did I not put take chroma wall in there? Welcome to your Weather Impact Extended Weekend Forecast, exclusively here on WMAZ Plus. I'm meteorologist Alex Pry. Each week, we like to take an in-depth look at what's going on ahead for your weekend activities and what we're up to here on the weather team. So let's jump right into it. Taking a look at future view, we're going to go all the way into Friday afternoon. We do have a storm outlook for today, so a risk of seeing some severe storms. We haven't seen them come to fruition lately on future view, which is never a bad thing, but due to this time of year, we never want to let our guard down. We do have the potential for seeing some scattered showers, including maybe a stronger thunderstorm or a severe one in the counties that you will see outlined when I show you those storm outlooks in just 1 second. Going into your Friday night plans, it still looks like the possibility of seeing some rain in the scattered nature still. It will be possible. This is 11 p.m. on Friday, but most of the active weather will remain up to the north and the northwest of us. Those areas have a higher probability and the proper ingredients for seeing some severe weather sprout, and we haven't seen it come to fruition in future view according to the last couple of runs, but it's something you'll need to, once again, just keep your eye on the radar for any plans that you have for your Friday evening and Friday night. Going into your Saturday morning forecast, we continue to see another line of rain pushing in from the west, but take a look at what happens. A lot of these darker colors, these oranges, even these reds, start to break apart as that line pushes into central Georgia. It looks like that's going to be kind of when our temperatures are at a cooler time period of the day. That's going to be the first half of your Saturday. This is going to the midday hour on Saturday afternoon. And then you can see some pockets of heavier rain associated with this, but we're not quite out of the woods just yet. It'll probably be a story of on and off rain throughout most of your Saturday afternoon into your evening plans. And then finally, we get an indication of some clearing back over here into states like Alabama and Mississippi. This will actually be the cold front that is finally pushing through our area, and it will make its way through central Georgia. You're going to have your fair share of scattered thunderstorms that will be possible into the Saturday nighttime hours. But then this rain will fizzle out as it once again moves through during a cooler portion of the day, overnight Saturday into your Sunday morning. Most of the rain is still way off to our east over here on the right side of your screen, but I wouldn't rule out seeing one of these tiny green blips, which would be indicating a very isolated sprinkle shower as you're making your way out to church or any outdoor plans you have Sunday morning. The good news is Sunday is looking to be the best of the bunch this weekend, so not looking to have these showers and thunderstorm chances each and every day. Sunday afternoon actually looks quite splendid, a bit of a nice breeze coming out of the west, and then we continue with the clear skies as we go into your Sunday night and heading into the first full work week of the month of May. So day one storm outlook. This is what will be in place for your Friday afternoon. If you're watching Saturday or Sunday, this is going to be old news and this won't be applying to you whatsoever. But we do see kind of a line from Montezuma all the way up towards just west of Sparta in Hancock County. Areas in this green shade, so everyone to the north and northwest of that line I just drew. Under a level 1 out of 5 risk for severe weather, kind of covering the bases if we see a severe thunderstorm warning or two. But if you do see one of those, the main potential impacts will be your fair share of gusty winds that can do some damage, and also maybe even seeing some small hail with some of those thunderstorms. Now, if you are watching this on Saturday, maybe even Sunday, if you're watching this on Sunday, this is going to be old news as well, but this will probably change into the day 1 outlook if you are watching on Saturday. This is the day 2 storm outlook, and that same level 1 risk that we are outlined for Friday is going to cover all of central Georgia. So a lot more confidence in the entire area, maybe seeing a warning or two, or just even some strong weather that's just below that severe criteria with the same potential threats. Once again, gusty winds and maybe even popping up a hail core or two. So if you do encounter any of this active weather, it's something you're just going to want to head inside for, have a contingency plan if you have any outdoor plans on Saturday afternoon, including Friday evening into the nighttime hours, but also bring that rain gear in case you just run into a light shower or two. This rain is going to be pretty scattered that you did just see on future view, so it's not set in stone that you are going to see rain over the course of this weekend. That's why I'm telling you to just really have some caution for any outdoor plans that you may have. In terms of the numbers, high temperature of 88 on Friday, and then we see a decline, kind of opposite of what we have been seeing so far heading into the warmer months of the year. 83 for a high temperature on Saturday, and then 80 degrees for a high temperature on your Sunday. Also, the rain chances will begin to decline as we go into your Sunday as well. Saturday, I think, has the best coverage of rain, but once again, not everyone's going to see that thunderstorm. Not everyone's even going to see anything in the way of rain. If you don't see any rain, then this is what you'll be treated to. Temperatures in the low 80s, partly cloudy skies, and it will be good to go for any outdoor plans. That's why I'm telling you to keep those plans, not really have them or just have them on a contingency plan. Make plans to head indoors if the weather is to get messy. And then a 10% chance of a sprinkle. That's kind of overshooting that rain chance. It didn't see much on the way of future view, but a couple of you could see an isolated sprinkle as you're making your way out to church, something that maybe having the raincoat for the morning hours might be a wise decision. But overall, it is looking like Sunday is the best of the bunch for any outdoor plans. In terms of the temperatures, they're still hovering in the upper 80s, the mid 80s, getting down into the lower 80s. So I just want to remind you that it can be too hot to trot for some of your pets. That's when the concrete and the asphalt temperatures can get some maybe 20 or 30 degrees warmer. And at least we're not into the top of this box right now, 95 degrees, where the concrete and asphalt can feel like 140 and 155 degrees. Just make sure you're keeping your pets well hydrated, as well as yourself, spending extended periods of time out in these warm temperatures. Only one baseball matchup to tell you about this weekend, and that would be the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets. Taking a trip up I-75 this weekend, well, they will be squaring off with an out-of-conference series against Western Carolina up at Rush Chandler Stadium. Game 1 Friday at 6 p.m. A shower or a storm can be possible. Game 2, once again, the chance of a shower does exist, but a lot cooler, 69 at first pitch at 4 p.m. on Saturday. That's because I think they're going to get some rain-cooled air before that first pitch time, so maybe having to clear the field, maybe a bit of a weather delay for Game 1 or Game 2. But Game 3 going to be splendid weather, mostly sunny skies. Just on the cooler side, a temperature of 71 at first pitch, when the last couple of weekends we've seen those temperatures well into the 80s around the 1 o'clock start time. Sunset will be at 8:22 up in Atlanta this weekend. But for Game 1 and Game 2, if you are making plans to go up to Atlanta to watch the Yellow Jackets and the Catamounts, definitely bring the rain gear and keep a close eye on the radar. There could even be some lightning and thunder delays for Game 1 specifically. So, grill forecast for the weekend, you probably guessed it. Friday and Saturday are definitely going to be days with yellow spatulas. I've been forecasting some possible thunderstorms, so you may think, why don't I have the red spatulas on there? I still think to express caution just due to the scattered nature of this, and like I was continuing to tell you, not everyone is going to receive some rain, so just keep a close eye on the skies and the radar before heading out to grill out a good family meal for your Friday and Saturday. But Sunday is going to be a great way to wrap up the weekend with a cookout. Green spatulas are going to be the story. In your pool forecast, well, not necessarily the best. Temperatures can be anywhere from about 80 degrees to 88 degrees, so it could be really warm or it could be a little bit cooler. And we know that pool water temperature is always a little bit lower than the actual temperature outside. But your chance for storms may be Friday and Saturday. Of course, when thunder roars, head indoors. The pool is definitely one of the last places you want to be during a thunderstorm. And then Sunday is looking nice, but a bit cooler. We could see some temperatures in the upper 70s, and the pool water may be a little bit too cool for your liking. And then we'll see a steady breeze, about 5 to 10, maybe 15 miles per hour. Some occasional gusts associated with stronger weather can get above 25 miles per hour, but that's not going to be widespread. That's going to be very localized to some of those stronger thunderstorms. Sunset here in central Georgia this weekend, 8:18. It is hard to believe how late that sunset continues to get each and every week. So how about your allergy monitor? We'll talk about that, and allergy is probably not going to be a concern for many with the rain chances that we do have washing away most of this pollen. But now we are into grass pollen season. We've transitioned from that tree pollen being at very high levels all the way down to high, moderate, low, and eventually none now as it does stand. But the grass pollen is going to be the source of many of your allergies. Also, with some rain chances, some mold might be a bit of a concern, but still, just continue to take your allergy medication before spending extended amounts of time outside. But also, the grass pollen is really going to be the source of that, and I know that probably doesn't bother your allergies as much as that tree pollen seemed to during the months of March and April. So now let's take it over to my recommended weekend attire. You don't want to go anywhere without a rain jacket or an umbrella Friday and Saturday, just given the chance of seeing some rain. But t-shirt will be what you want to wear under that because it's still going to be relatively warm until we get into the nighttime hours, but we're still not looking at temperatures to dip below the 60-degree mark. Even in the overnight hours, going to have a pleasant feel to it for sure. Sunday, I think you can break out the t-shirts, the swim trunks, the sunglasses, whatever you would like to, because it will be a relatively warm day, even though about 2, maybe 3 degrees below average. However, nice and mostly sunny skies will round out your weekend after we get a bit of a messy start to it. So even though the month of April is over, we are still well into the spring season. But something you may have heard us on the weather team here talk about very recently has been a summer-like pattern. We've mentioned it quite a bit over the past week or so. So let's break down the science for those storms, and let's also talk about why they're occurring a little bit earlier than when the summer season officially gets its start. So you need a couple of ingredients for thunderstorms. The first 3 are going to be vital for any kind of thunderstorm that you see: instability, moisture, lift, but then you add in wind shear. Wind shear is something you really only need when you're getting an organized weather system come through, not necessarily these pop-up severe thunderstorm warnings that we have been dealing with very recently. So what happens is the sun is obviously going to heat the surface during the warmer times of the year, and then there's going to be plenty of moisture. You don't need frontal systems that provide a lot of lift, and that's why we get those organized weather systems during the cooler months of the year. But during the summertime, we have a lot more surface heat, we have a lot more energy to work with, and all the proper ingredients are going to be there. So the heat is going to rise, and that's going to cause clouds to build. Well, it's just really a rapid process with that heat continuing to rise. There's just almost not an unlimited supply, but there is a good amount of a supply for those sufficient ingredients that will cause the cloud tops to rise a little bit higher. And the higher that the cloud tops rise, that's when you start to get your more severe weather in terms of thunderstorms. But these storms are a lot like popcorn, hence kind of why we call them pop-up. We can't exactly predict the specific location of where they do pop up, similar to when you put some popcorn kernels on the stove. Each individual kernel is going to pop up pretty randomly, and that's what these summertime storms typically do in light of the sufficient ingredients that we do have. So going into the specific science of it, that lift of warm air is going to be what we call an updraft. But similarly, just as soon as these storms do form, we can also see a downdraft with that rain that is higher up in the cloud tops and that continues to flow down, and that's going to be a lot of cool and sinking air. So these storms typically don't last too long because they kind of choke itself out. They get that rising motion, but immediately after that, they get to that cap, they get to that highest point that they can in the atmosphere, and then that cool air begins to sink. So that's why we only see these storms maintain their intensity for maybe about 20 or 30 minutes or so. However, with more organized weather systems, we have that wind shear, something that we were talking about earlier that is an ingredient. Wind shear is basically winds changing speed aloft. So they may be a little bit slower at the surface, but higher up in the atmosphere, they might be moving at faster speeds. What that does, those winds allow to push that downdraft ahead of the actual storm itself, so you continue to maintain that intensity, obviously with the rising motion, but the downdraft isn't directly on top to choke out the storm. It's going to be a little bit ahead of the storm, so we continue to see that rising motion with those organized weather systems. So that's kind of what's been going on as of recently. We've had above average temperatures to round out the month of April. We've had sufficient moisture content, and those boundaries we've been talking about, they've been stalling just to the north of us. That's provided enough lift to continue to sprout these kind of summer-like pattern storms, and we have been enough away from it to where we're not seeing that wide coverage of it. We've just been stuck in this warm and pretty humid air mass, but as we go into these warmer months of the year, and we're now into the month of May, you can bet that we're going to start to see these pop-up storms a lot more frequently. But now let's take a look at your extended forecast, what's in store for the rest of your 7-day and in store beyond that. Going into the long-range models, we continue to see all that rain associated with that front this weekend. That's going to move off the Atlantic coast. May still be crowding areas up in the mid-Atlantic, up in the Ohio Valley area, but not going to really be of concern here in central Georgia. So Monday, 5 p.m., looking like a great start to your work week. More clouds built into the picture for your Tuesday, but still remaining dry. We can see some active weather starting to take shape over to the west, states like Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and down into the boot of Louisiana. Now, there's not much organization with this whatsoever, but it does look like we have some scattered rain chances at the very least. Enter the forecast for your Wednesday afternoon, more so the nighttime hours on Wednesday. That's when we're getting a little bit of some shades of blue and green. Like I said, not much agreement whatsoever this far out. And then a lot of the moisture looks to remain in the forecast heading into next Thursday. Still plenty of green shades, plenty of blue shades all around the vicinity of the state of Georgia. And Future View, the long-range models, they go out as far as Friday at 3 p.m. We could very well see some rain lingering and hanging around. So we have been rather dry as of recently. It looks like this weekend we have some scattered chances. Hopefully we'll see more widespread rain chances that are not of the severe weather variety as we wrap up the work week next week, but we'll continue to fine-tune those details as we get closer. So your afternoon highs, we are actually going to start out below average for a change. Monday afternoon, a high temperature of 81 degrees. See this average high right up here above my head, 82 degrees for this time of year. But then we'll bounce back into the mid 80s, 84, 85-ish for Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But once again, we're getting into the warmer months of the year, so this average high temperature is definitely going to continue to increase, probably about 83 degrees by the time we get to next Monday. In terms of the morning lows, not going to be too chilly. However, we have been stuck with temperatures around the 60-degree mark to start out each and every morning. That's kind of what we've been used to. So when we see these temperatures drop down into the lower 50s, it might feel a little bit chillier just because we're so used to having the pleasant and slightly humid air mass in place. So 52 and 53 to start out your Monday and Tuesday, maybe needing a little bit of light layering, but that's up to your own discretion. If it feels good enough for you to go outside, then don't grab the coat whatsoever. And it's only going to be a short period of time because we're back into the upper 50s and the low 60s once we get into the midweek next week and back above average for our morning low temperatures. But what's in store beyond that? This is going to be May 9th through 15th. So starting to get into about next Friday all the way into the Thursday after that, mid-May already, and still looking at a good probability of seeing near normal temperatures. Now, obviously, that's going to be subject to change. We're looking at that average temperature starting to increase ever so slightly. By the time we get to this time period, our average temperature will probably be about 84, 85 degrees. So it looks like mid-80s are probably going to be in store for May 9th through 15th. In terms of precipitation, it does look like we have a slight probability of seeing above normal rainfall. With all these weather systems continuing to send us scattered rain chances, this is probably a pretty good prediction because if we have a more organized system that would dump a lot of rain, some pockets of heavier rainfall associated with thunderstorms, we'd see this probability go up. We'd go farther right on the scale. But right now we do remain to the right side of near normal, so it does look like we're going to at least have our fair share of scattered rain chances into the extended period for May 9th through 15th as well. So let's talk about our 2025 rainfall. We did wrap up another month in 2025. So we finished April about a ½ inch above average for rainfall. And it's really funny, and I'm kind of laughing about it because, yes, we got most of that rain in a period of about 2 days for the entire month. But nonetheless, we talked last week about how April is one of our drier months of the year, even despite it being kind of right in the middle of severe weather season. So it is good to finish that month above average, even if it is only about a minuscule amount compared to some other values. And so far, we're only about a day or two into May, so we are below average until we get some rain recorded at Middle Georgia Regional Airport. But all in all, these values all added up, subtracted from one another. It puts us 2.5 inches below average. We continue to see that number climb in the wrong direction. We want it to get back closer to average. So we probably could use some rainfall. But where does that put us in terms of drought conditions? How dry are some areas in central Georgia? Well, the good news is nowhere near as dry as the state of Florida. They have actually not really seen much rain whatsoever, and they're into categories like severe, extreme, even some exceptional droughts down there in this down there towards the south, rather, I should say. But most of us are actually remaining at pretty sufficient conditions. It looks like we do have some yellow shades, so that's just going to be abnormally dry areas, just the kind of lowest level that you see here on the drought monitor. That tries to stretch into some of our north and northeastern counties, but we do see it encompassing some of our southernmost counties. This is going to be Dooley County, Criss County, parts of Wilcox, Dodge, into maybe a little bit of Lawrence County and Treutlen County, along with Telfair, Wheeler, and Montgomery counties. Now this drought monitor, it comes out every Thursday. That's when it gets released, but it does get updated every Tuesday. So we'll see how our rainfall from this past Tuesday all the way to next Tuesday does in terms of maybe alleviating some of these conditions, and we'll continue to keep you updated with the next drought monitor for your extended weekend forecast next week. So let's look ahead. Didn't have to make any changes with this graphic. The most immediate holiday or event coming up will be Cinco de Mayo on Monday. That will be on May 5th. Mother's Day going to follow not this coming Sunday, but it will be the next Sunday. So go ahead and make sure that you're ordering those Amazon packages, those gifts for mom, and don't wait for the last minute the weekend before when I remind you next week that it is on May 11th. Memorial Day is going to be on Monday, May 26th, and then hurricane season. That's the big talking point, less than a month away from the 2025 Atlantic hurricane season. You haven't seen a lot of content from our weather team during this stream so far today, and that's because we've been hard at work behind the scenes trying to put together a hurricane outlook special that you will be able to catch here on 13 WMAZ Plus before Memorial Day weekend, so before the official start of hurricane season. But we've been going out, doing our fair share of research, talking to people, and obviously giving you a look ahead at what's to come hurricane season, but also what we've seen in the past, especially given with Hurricane Helene as of last week. So be on the lookout for that. That will be coming up in a couple of weeks, and you'll see us promoting that on all our social platforms as well. But other than that, that will do it for your Weather Impact Extended Weekend Forecast. Be sure to tune in every Friday exclusively here on 13 WMAZ Plus to catch a look at your extended forecast, what we're up to on the weather team, along with every weekday at 10:30 for a detailed explanation on your daily forecast.